Hello, hello, Gutsy Women. How are you all this afternoon? I hope you've all had a wonderful day today, and I have the privilege of interviewing another, because already been on an interview today, another wonderful woman who is doing amazing things in the world to help people to heal from trauma and from all different kinds of things that actually contribute to us not feeling as well and as vibrant and living the life that we need to live in the best way possible. So I'd love you to welcome on stage Dr. Katja Rusanen. I think I've got that right.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much for having me. It is my pleasure and honor to be here and hopefully give some insights, inspiration for your audience.
Yeah, thank you so much, Katja. It's really lovely to have you here. And I would love you to let the people who are watching live or on replay who you are and what you do, because I know you've got a wonderful a heartfelt story, but also a wonderful story of hope and healing involved in it. So I'll just let you fire away and tell people who you are.
So absolutely. So I'm Dr. Katja Rusanen. I am doctor for the soul. So my doctorate is in spiritual science. And I love helping people who have gone through trauma or adversity in life to gain freedom from the past so that they can really truly share their gifts in the world and succeed on purpose. And how I got into this path, as so many other wounded healers, I went through a challenging life experience at the age of 16 that really put me on this path because I lost a loved one that time. I lost my first boyfriend to suicide. And that experience put me into a dark place for years. And I started, of course, look for the answers. Like I asked why. And the question why haunted me for years. And that put me on the path to seek deeper answers, deeper meaning and purpose in life through spirituality, because I couldn't find those answers anywhere else. And maybe many of you might resonate with that, like you have gone through something challenging and you might have got that question as well. Why this is happening to me? That was the question I was asking at the beginning. Because of course I was going through every word, every situation I could remember and trying to find that explanation, but there was none. So what happened over the years was then like, luckily there came spiritual teachers that helped me to start shifting how I see my past, how I see myself. And I started to see that life wasn't happening to me, it was happening for me. But of course, this was a journey. It wasn't a one night like, oh, you wake up in the morning and you see everything in a new light. For me, it was a process. I'm not saying maybe you have that enlightening moment, but often it is a process that you start seeing things from different light. And that is something I have put into my upcoming book, Your Spiritual Curriculum, because I believe that we are here in the Earth School. And when we discover or when we learn those lessons we are learning here, we gain awareness, and that awareness helps us to navigate through life with greater ease. And it also brings that emotional freedom. So you are not anymore chained to your past. You are free at last.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Because we tend not to go back into the past because it can sometimes feel quite painful, quite things happened in the past that we couldn't make sense of as children or young adults, and we quite struggled with our identities and all of that kind of things. And some of us, like yourself, had a trauma at a young age. You actually had something happen to you when you were 16, didn't you?
Yeah.
And that may well have set you off on your journey, I would imagine. Could you tell people a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I actually shared as the loss of a loved one at the age of
Yeah.
16. And what happened after where you shared, like, it is those things we don't want to remember. We don't,
Mm,
we kind I was for years, I wanted to skip that chapter.
yeah.
Like when you're like, if your life is a book of different chapters, you kind of want to skip that one. And
Mm,
I stored all these emotions because they were so painful. I stored them. If there was a storage unit, I put it there. I put a
yes.
note on the door, do not visit ever. Like, and I tried to then avoid getting the emotions up. I tried to push them away. But one thing is, like when we try to push things away, they don't go away. They
Mm,
stay with us. And often that can be as well sometimes bringing up like these chronic diseases that you are specializing in, and it is so emotionally draining because it's like being in a swimming pool and trying to push a beach ball underwater, but the beach ball bounces back up
yes.
and then you try to shuffle it back down, and that takes energy. So that was my experience over the years. And it didn't really change until I found the courage to start actually checking what's in there. And for me, it came through writing.
Mm,
So it was evoked by a random question from a palm reader who asked me, or maybe it wasn't random, like he
yes.
asked me, why don't you write? And that sparked something inside of me. I felt like he knew that I have this story that I had been hiding. And
Mm,
I promised there and then to go home and start writing. And that started my first novel. It was a fictional novel that I wrote, but it helped me to clear and heal the things because I started to see things in from that different perspective. And I also, this is one of the tips I want to share with your audience is like find a way for you, a safe place where you can express whatever way that works for you. For some, it might be writing or journaling. For some, it might be dancing or painting or singing or making music, whatever that is for you, but finding a way to express because expression is healing.
these outlets are really, really important for people who have had some kind of trauma to actually get that out. And sometimes it can be expressed in the music people write. They write
Yeah,
songs of their pain and to kind of, it's quite a cathartic, healing expression of getting out those things. And also artwork, as you said, drawing, painting,
yeah,
just getting it all out there. So
yeah,
as we move through life and come from those traumas into our adult life and beyond, we actually can keep that trapped in us. So you have this book that you're just launching, aren't you? I'd love
yes,
to. Yes, it's called The Spiritual Curriculum. And so that you have is it 5 pillars of support? I don't know how you call it, but it's a process that you take people through
yes.
in
It's
your
five.
work.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 5 steps to make peace with your past. And it is allowing us to go through, start processing a very gentle way what is there holding you back. Because you might have noticed as well, like as much as you try to push these things away, they don't go away. Like they just keep lingering.
Mm,
And the key here is to find ways to start working through them. So I just guide the process in this book, and there is also exercises, reflections that I guide you through to start shifting how you see your past. Because many of us might have done a lot of inner work. Maybe you
mm,
already tried things, and it just keeps coming back. It feels like that never ending onion you are peeling. But that what worked for me is really like this soul's perspective. Because when you really see your life from soul's perspective, it gives you that emotional freedom. You really can make peace with your past. It's possible. And that's something I want to really highlight here, because I know how it feels when you are like in a situation that you feel it's impossible to have that peace. I was there. I thought that. But now when I'm living this new experience, I'm like, wow, this is something I never ever even dreamt of when I was going through the aftermath of a trauma. Because it's not always the event that we go through, but it's also what comes after, how we are navigating through, whether it's few years, whether it's decades later. These things can still haunt us. And it is time now to really see your life from soul's perspective. And I ensure you, you will find that compassion towards yourself because you are a brave soul.
Mm. So you're bringing up the idea of, it's kind of like not just mind, body, emotions perspective, it's a soul or spiritual perspective, because we all have that, whether we recognize that side of us or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And so in your work, do you find you have to introduce the idea that we are a soul to some people, and how does that transform the work that they do within themselves? Because a lot of people don't carry a faith these days.
Yeah.
So how does that actually, how do you introduce that into the work with people?
That's a really good question. Often I actually work with people who have been on the path for a while. They have done a lot of things, and they already are somewhat familiar. But sometimes there are some who are new into this, and it is meeting where they are. So I have very active mind. For example, we can start there. Let's just check in. What's happening in your mind? What are the thoughts you are having? Or sometimes I work with people, their emotional level is so strong, and that is the leading one. We start with the emotions, checking in to your body, noticing what's happening in your body. Like maybe there are some sensations, maybe there are some areas that are calling your attention. Like it feels like there is a lump under your throat, or something is happening in the solar plexus. So we start there. And then it might be for some checking into the physical level, the actions, what you are doing, or more interestingly often, what you are not doing. Because these events from the past have their influence. And then gently, from there, and we normally work with all those three levels with my clients. And then I gently introduce this spiritual level, which is called soul level as well. And it's often checking in. What have I been learning through my mind, through the emotions, through my actions or non-actions? And that's what I often call the soul success, when we find that learning, when we find the key elements and we are like, yes, now I got it. This is something I have been learning through this experience. And that also allows you then to move forward wiser.
It sounds like a very gentle way of bringing that aspect of our whole self into the conversation. So
Yeah.
it's really, I would imagine people are ready to hear that side of it by the time you work through the rest of what they're going through as well.
Yeah, and it's of course I respect everybody's beliefs, whatever
Yeah.
they are, but it often brings that deeper fulfillment when we tap into this soul. Because I believe many of us are seeking something deeper meaning, fulfillment, and purpose in life. we are in a way like seeking why we are here. That's a question people have asked ages. So I believe that we are here in the Earth School for learning, growth, and upliftment, as one of my spiritual teachers says. And it is really when you discover those key lessons you have learned, you're like, your life starts to make sense. It's like, okay, now I got it. Now I got it.
Yeah.
And it helps you to move forward. So it's like, if your life would be a movie, what would be the title? That might be an interesting question to ponder.
That's right. Yes, I know. Or a song. What song embodies
Yes.
yourself? Yeah. So yeah, I truly understand that, and I think as we go through our life and we get into our middle years, like from our
Yes.
late 30s, 40s, moving into like 50s, I feel that from my experience with talking to other people and for myself, that those questions become even more pertinent and more, we ponder on them more the older we get,
Yeah.
because that's the time when we wonder, well, what have I done with my life?
Mm-hmm. It is truly, and it is the time as well. We are kind of starting to look for something more in life. And some, of course, they might start looking that earlier. There might be life experiences that uh, start that search, like I had the life experience at the age of 16. But also, I think that age, you have done a lot in life, and then you are seeking that, is there something more here? So
Yeah.
it is a beautiful time we have here to start opening up
Mm.
to finding that true fulfillment.
And that might just be the key that holds the answer to why somebody has suffered with chronic health
Yeah.
conditions all their life. It may not be, it may be the major part rather than just a small part. So
Yeah.
we're never going to know until we actually start to explore, that spirit
Yeah.
soul part of us. And
Absolutely. And I have actually a chapter here about the health journey, because many have some sort of health challenges, one point or another. And it is also checking in, and I'm sharing this with your audience, like checking in what kind of story you are telling about your health and your journey with your health. If there's been some challenges, just check in how you are describing those challenges, what kind of language you are using, what do they mean about you? Because sometimes we give a meaning to these events.
yeah.
So it is first starting point can be just exploring
Mm.
what are the labels we have put for the health conditions we have and the meaning we have given to them.
Yes. And the level of control we have over them as well.
Yeah.
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 Because these are huge questions and they do have an impact on how our body processes those thoughts and words and feelings. So it's really powerful. That's a powerful practice to actually let the audience know about. Check in with the words that you tell yourself, how you speak to yourself, because we quite often speak to ourselves in a way that we wouldn't speak to anybody else.
We do that, yeah. And it's really there is an opportunity, because sometimes we can't, there are things that are not in our control, not even in our body. Like there are things just happen. And but what you say to yourself, that's something you can shift any day now. Like even if you have been maybe not your best friend in the past, you can start now. What would be one loving thing you could tell yourself? So that's an opportunity we all have here, and just embracing our beingness and just allowing us to have that opportunity to bring that light into our beingness and that compassion that can guide us through.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You've shared some wonderful thoughts around the spiritual side of ourselves, the soul side of ourselves. And I'm sure the audience will have something to ponder on there and think about their own lives as well, and how that's holding on to maybe something that they could actually easily release if they just journaled or expressed themselves in a different way and actually looked into it. So thank you so much, Katja, for your time today. I know you have another call coming up soon, so I won't hold you much longer. And that point is like, I think that point that you made last of all was, you know, how am I talking to myself, and how to write that down, and how to, you know, move forward in any given situation is where am I at right now, and how can I change it? It's a powerful one to leave people with. So thanks once again for all of that. Please put your book and any information of contact into the comments below, and I hope to be able to get in touch with you again sometime. And anyone watching, please connect with Katja. She's in the group. Please comment, add any comments that you like, any questions that you might have for her. And I'm sure she'll be able to come in and actually answer those questions and engage with you and see if she can help you in any other way.
Absolutely. It would be lovely to hear from you and share your biggest takeaways. I hope that I brought some inspirations, and thank you so much, Dee, for having me here.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Okay, let's end the stream and we'll have a little quick chat.